Hi there, this is another video, and this is Hare and Tortoise, or Hase und Igel, which is hare and hedgehog. So this is based on the famous tale, based on the northern Germany where this was written. And it's all about trying to be the first to get to the finish line. But the fact is, even though the rabbit or the hare runs ahead, the slow-moving tortoise, or in this case hedgehog, can win the day. So this edition is by Ravensburger. It was the inaugural winner of the 1979 Spiel des Jahres. So that's the first year Spiel des Jahres came along. And from that, it basically really upped the quality of board game design and how people can go about it. So I'm going to give you a how to play setup and review. I must admit right at this moment that if I've made any mistakes, please do check the comments and the description in case I've amended anything. And finally, I'm only doing this review based on a player count of 2 and 4 at this moment in time. And because of the delicacy of such an old game, being over 40 years of age, I'm not taking this out to too many public venues because of pints of beer and stuff like that. So for that reason, I'm may well be updating again those notes and descriptions once I've played it at different player counts. But this is mainly a case of you a chance to see something like this, which you probably typically may not see, even though it's been published numerous times. Everybody can have one of these scorecards, unless you can work out your factorials, which actually isn't that complicated. But for your first few times, it's definitely a handy reference. We have a rule book. This is in German, so I'll explain to you this, which is obviously why you wouldn't need to do it. So I'll explain two-player first. You're going to have 98 bits of money, which consists of a 30. So I think I'll grab them for you now quickly. You get a 30, you're going to get a 15. You're going to take a 10, that makes 55. You're then going to take a 60, 65, 68. So actually it's easiest to show it to you initially as a, basically if you're playing more than 2 players, you're playing 68. Then you take an extra 30 if you're playing it with 2 players. So 98 carats initially, 68 carats at all other player counts. I'm going to have 68 for the time being. Grab a colour. Everyone else grabs a colour too. And we'll grab a few out just to put as an example. Choose a start player. No one else really benefits from being first or otherwise, but you'll see that in a moment. And then all you need to be doing is chucking out this money on these locations, which I don't really think we need to be showing you, but as an example, it's going to go there. Everyone's going to get some letters each, and there are some rabbit cards. No position for the rabbit cards, but we can just stick them there. Everyone's going to have 5 lettuces each, but if you're playing more than 2 players, you're playing with 3. So 2 players with 5, 3 if you're playing with more. I'm just going to have 3 out just as an example. Put them back in the box. So what can you do? You can move forward. You can move forward based on the amount of carats that you have. So this is telling us how many we can move forward. So I have 98. So I've got 90. I can move 13 spaces. So I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, or 13. And then I can stop there. Then I've got very little money. So imagine I don't do that because I've gone really far ahead, but I've run out of energy, run out of money. Currency, carrots, stuff that lets me move around. I need to be the first person to land here to win. I'll come more about the requirements on that in a moment. So if I go here, I could do that for 1, and I spend 1 carat. I can draw myself a card. It could be positive, it could be negative. I'm not going to test all my German, but for example, I can discard a salad. I can have to stay where I am. I could go back a position, forward a position, back to the last carrot field and miss a turn. Go forward a carrot field. I can either take 10 carrots, lose 10 carrots, and go forward and not pay anything, and that kind of stuff. So these cards are going to be obviously shuffled initially and then played with, and you could go through that deck. So that's something you could do. You could do something and it could give you positive or negative stuff. Or I could choose to not spend that. I could choose to go 2, which is going to cost me 3, and go carrots. Somebody else then takes their turn. When it's my turn next, I can either then spend a turn to gain or lose 10 carrots, or not bother doing that and simply move on again. I could go here. On my turn, if I'm in 3rd position, I'm going to be gaining 30 carrots. So basically, and 10 times the number. If you're playing at 2-player, everybody takes 2 counters each. So red isn't very good with the orange. Let's go with the naked wood one. So imagine playing this one. So I might want to go jumping ahead to ensure that, I don't know, I'm third on my turn. But what happens is the person who's player 2 is going to ensure that, I don't know, I'm in 4th position. What is a bit annoying, I'll tell you now, is the fact these can kind of cover the stuff, so you can't tell what number you're looking at. So we talked about the rabbits and the hares, basically. Carrots, we talked about positioning. Salads. If you land on the lettuce, your next turn, you are discarding one of your lettuces. And that's your turn done. And your next turn, you must move on. Similar to these ones, you must move on from these. These ones, you can stay as much as you like and keep getting 10 carrots every turn or losing 10 carrots. Hedgehogs, you can never land on a hedgehog, but if you happen to be here, you can gain carrots on your turn by saying, right, I've gone to here, everyone has their turn, it's my turn again, I go backwards to a hedgehog, I gain 20 carrots. 10 per space I go backwards, and you must go back as far as the next hedgehog, which kind of suggests you can't land on spikes, but you can land on them from that direction. So you're spending carrots to go forward, you're gaining them by going backwards, and then you can go forwards again. So 2 spaces forwards is only going to cost me 3. So going and spending 3 isn't too bad considering I'm gaining 20. So you could just keep doing that all the time, but everyone else is racing ahead. We have this position, which is 1, 5 or 6. If you're in that position, you'll gain 10, 50 or 60 if you're in that position on your turn. That's pretty much how the game progresses. I'll just point out some interesting things, such as around here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's 60 you could gain. And I think there's one over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You could gain 70 carrots, but of course you're going back 7 spaces. So this interesting multiplier is very interesting, because 44 spaces, which is around about here, is 990 carrots. But how are you going to get all those carrots? Because you're going to spend so long waiting, you're just not going to get there. Equally, if you're trying to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's 21 carrots, but 3 is only going to cost you 6, 3 again, 6. So it's only 12 instead of 21, but you've spent an extra turn. These spaces, these lettuces, there's only about 5 on the board, so you've got to watch out and ensure that you can land on them perhaps when you can, because you cannot win if you've still got lettuces left. Also, if you're getting around the board and you've got lots of carrots left, you cannot win until, if you're going to gammon first, you have to have 10 or fewer carrots. So if you land here, you might have to, because you've got 21 or 21, you're going to have to wait 2 turns, then spend 1, and then you have to go back again. So if you've got, say, it's going to cost you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's 15 to get in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you've got, say, 20 carrots, you've got to go here, that's too much to lose, 10. So you've got to have, say, 35 carrots, land here, lose 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's going to cost you 15 because 5 equals 15. And suddenly you're able to get home and only have 10 carrots remaining. If you want to finish second, you're going to have to actually go again and ensure you've got 20 carrots or fewer remaining. Imagine this person's here. They've got, 50 carrots. They're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, that's not enough because it's going to cost you 55. So they could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's going to cost them 15. Lose a turn. Spend a turn, losing another 10. Spend another turn, losing another 10. Until eventually they're going to get home. But remember, if they're going to be finishing in 4th anyway, the game could end when one person's home, it doesn't really matter. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's 15. It's going to the last bit's going to cost them 15, only 1 hit. And the point being is if they've lost all their lettuces, then actually 40 is enough. Because if they had, say, 60 carrots, 1, 2, 3, that they spend down to 45 carrots, that's going to cost them 15, so that's going to be 30. They're fine. They didn't even stop there. So it's a very interesting game. I hopefully didn't over-confuse you there. Just the point being that you've got to make sure you're under the limit, 10, 20, 30, 40 carrots, depending on your finishing position, and being out of the lettuces. But apart from that, it's an interesting game. We're going back and forth. First game will take about an hour and a quarter. After that, it's about, including explanation, if you need to just recap anything. After that, though, a game can take 45 minutes. Example, as a 2-player. As a 2-player, remember you're using 2 counters each, and you could see, well, if you finish first and third, or first and second, however, but typically whoever finished first is going to win. And the other thing to bear in mind is, in a 4-player, like a 2-player, you're playing a total with 4 counters. I did notice these get used more when you're playing with individuals as opposed to 2 against 2, which means some of these cards you can almost remember where that card was next time. So I managed to go ahead 6 spaces, cost me 21, flip the card, it costs you nothing. So that's an interesting thing to point out. The box is good. It's a nice way of fitting everything back. I know some people won't like seeing their carrots, say, upside down. This is all hidden information as well. That's a very interesting thing to the game, because someone's holding on to a few cards and you're thinking, do they have enough to get home? And suddenly they stop or they go backwards because they're hedgehog, which means then you go in front of them and suddenly you've jumped too far ahead and suddenly you need to go backwards as well. So it's like, well, do I spend over 2 turns trying to get there, or do I kind of rush it and hope they haven't got much? So, or do I chance it all on one of these hair spaces? The other thing is I've actually ended up whereby I've landed here and had to go back to the next carrot space. And if that one's taken, I've got to go back to there. If I jump back, I can go back hedgehog to hedgehog, hedgehog again. But if ever you go forward and you can't afford the carrots, you've got to start from the very beginning again, which has happened to me. And you have to start with your initial counting amount of carrots. You might get a rabbit card or hare card, and it says you can go forward and advance the position forward, but you still have to be able to afford it. But you can go as far forward as you wish. So these are double-sided, so these are very nice. I'm going to show you the back of the box as well, because it shows you how old it is. This has got 1978 on it. This game is actually from 1973, but the award was 1978. I'm hoping these won't all flip over, but I'm just going to slowly show you the back, and you can see it's in black and white. So it's even got Deutschmarks written on the back. It costs 25 German Deutschmarks. So that is Hare and Tortoise, and I have seen newer publications of it, but I was keen to try the original. Of course, it's got the logo on it, which has some appeal to it too. And for a game that's over 40 years of age, it's maintained its integrity pretty well, to be honest. Old school box like Alfaxa. If you've seen that video, it's the same size box, and it's 1,037 grams. I've got Manhattan to bring you as well, which was the Spiel des Jahres winner, I think, in 1994. So if you like the video, please hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so. And by all means, put a comment down in YouTube, and I'll look forward to getting back to you. But there we go. I do enjoy this game. I kind of give this game, I don't know, somewhere between a 6 and 8 out of 10. I think kind of close to an 8, because I think the mechanics of it are amazing. The fact that I think it's an extremely strong theme for the mechanics, more so than Power Grid. You're going forward, but then jumping backwards, and it's chewy and thinky, and it's very fun, and there's lots of laughter about who's holding what cards, how far round are they getting, do they actually have too much money to have to discard down. So it gets quite tense, and it's very interesting and tense to see what comes up on that hair card, where they're going to go. Do you need to make sure you're aware that a carrot card's covered, so you need to be going somewhere else? Somebody might be far ahead, but they still got lettuces. I shot ahead once, but then I had a negative rabbit card after having a positive one, so it kind of counted out. I'm not too good at the game, but it's still quite an appealing game to play. So I'm keen to try it out as a 3, a 5, and a 6, and just see how differently it plays. But you can't land on someone else's space, so you've got to keep going. So that's going to be quite interesting, especially at a higher player count. And it's just interesting to see, what people do. Maybe you can even try playing it as a 3 with 2 counters each. But no, very enjoyable to play, and I'm really glad I played it and got hold of this game. So that is Hare und Tortoise. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.